Arknights, one of the first gacha games to ever touch the tower defense genre. In this game, the strategy is way more important than the units that you have. To prove this, many content creators and people have a challenge account where they challenge themselves to make the game even harder for themselves. Some challenges are incredibly difficult, while some are easy. Usually in those kind of challenges, you ban yourself a certain group of operators to make it more difficult for you. If you have such an account, most of the time you have to spend weeks, months or even years to max out everything the account has. And obviously not everyone is a fan of that. But there is another way to challenge yourself, and that is racing against time. The person that took this to his heart is Hinabu. Hinabu is one of the most well-known speedrunner in the Nian community and also in the JP community. His dedication goes beyond everything I have seen so far. He is mostly known for his incredible CC runs. He creates a new account, and in one day with that new account, he beat that CC Risk 18. The most recent one we had, CC7, he also did run on this. It took him with a new account Risk 18 first week, not even 6 hours to beat Risk 18 with that account.
よし。よし。危なかった。よし。よし。やりました。ああ。いやー。ありがとうございます。
But his previous achievements is not something that is relevant in this video, because this is the story of a man that has beaten Arknights in one day. Because he's the first person to ever attempt this, he was able to create the rules by himself. And the rules he made were: you have to start from a new account. Brand support is not allowed. Spending money is also not allowed. But the one thing that is allowed is having leaks. I personally don't know why he allowed leaks, but decided to ban friend support units. Because I feel like clearing everything without any leaks but allowing friend support units would make things a lot easier. So I assume this is just another sign of his incredible dedication. On the 23rd of January, he started his stream, knowing that this is not gonna be easy. Obviously, you can't beat something that is so incredibly hard without any preparations. He was aware that he needs certain units to make this possible. You can guess now what those units were: Exia, Blaze, Surtur, Chalter. No, none of all these. The only gacha operators that he needs to make this run happen are Chitano, Cardigan, Spot, Midnight, Catapult, and Myrtle. There are only 2 4-stars, and there are no 5-star beside Amiya, and no 6-star in the team. So it was time for rerolling. In his first attempt, he didn't get a Chitano nor a Myrtle, so it was obvious he has to restart. In his third try, he was incredibly lucky. Out of the 6 gacha only characters, there was only one he didn't get, and that was Catapult, a 3-star. Which meant this is gonna be the account. Throughout the entire run, you will see at the bottom left corner the level of the units, the E1 level, and also the skill level of the units he uses. On the bottom right side, you will be able to see the doctor level he has, and at the top right, you will see the timestamps when he cleared what. And with that, the challenge was on. He started breezing through chapter 0 without any fails, and chapter 1 as well. The first 2 chapters were cleared in 1 hour and 6 minutes. This is faster then I was able to clear it when I tried to speedrun it as fast as possible. This already shows how much experience Hinabu has with new account speedruns. After this, Hinabu decided it's the best to farm the LS stages now, and he managed to clear LS1 and LS2. But LS3 was the first stage that gave him trouble. Hinabu came to the conclusion that it's better to farm LS2 where he already has a safe auto run instead of trying to beat LS3, which is not even guaranteed to be auto if he is able to clear it. By farming LS2, he is able to get some XP chips. Since their entire squad are low tier operators, it's necessary that they get a high level. After that, Hinabu focuses on finishing little side quests. In the early game, you get a ton of materials by doing that. After collecting some of them, his next goal is to clear LS4. And the best way to do this is start with chapter 2, where he gets even more rewards to level his squad. Usually at chapter 2, you can clearly see the difference between the players that are doing this for the first time and players that have never done new account speedruns. This is where the most people start struggling. But not Hinabu. The first few stages were no problem for him. And after TR 12, he decided it's time once more to try LS3. And well, look at this. This time, he was more successful. Hinabu grinded LS3 for about 10 minutes, and then randomly decided to beat CE3, and that in an instance. First try, after that, back to LS3. Now the grind was on. LS3, 1.7, and all different kind of places. He was farming as good as he can, just to ensure that he can beat LS4. He was also doing recruitments in the meantime. And this way, he finally got the last operator he needs. He got Catapult. And after 2 hours and 30 minutes, it finally happened. He was able to clear LS4, and with that, he had his main farming spot. Now what do you think? How long did he farm LS4? 20 minutes? 30 minutes? No. He farmed LS4 for the next 2 hours. While Hinabu is clearing chapter 2 with ease, let me explain you why Hinabu chose to bring 3 and 4 stars to the battle instead of 5 and 6 stars. If you look at a 3-star operator and compare the difference in resources they need to level them, you can see a clear difference how much more you would have to farm to get a 6-star operator to the same level than a 3-star operator. And because the time is limited, bringing 5 and 6 stars is just not an option if you really want to be quick. That is why it is so important that you make preparations beforehand, that you know which units you want and need for your strategies. Now with that, Hinabu managed to clear chapter 2. And guess what? He's going back to farming LS4. And that again, for another 2 hours. And with that, level 25 has been reached. Next up was 3.4 and 4.10. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, nothing really noteworthy happened. Hinabu managed to literally crush chapter 3. There were no fails, beside one fail in 3.8. The same thing goes for chapter 4, beside the additional 3 hours grind he did. In chapter 4, he never really struggled, until the Frost Nova stage. The problem with our little Frost Bunny is, the entire stage is an RNG fest depending on your strategy. Hinabu's first run looked rather promising until the moment Frost Nova blocked the tile for Malemfa. After thinking about it for a bit, he chose to abandon this try and go with another one. In the next one, he did early on a little oopsie, so he had to restart again. And now was time for the third try. This time RNG was a little bit kinder to him. Frost Nova luckily didn't block a single tile he needed. And that kept the door open to use Malemfa. And there is only one thing left to do to beat this stage. And that is activate the Malemfa's skill. And with that, Frost Nova has been erased from the map and the stage is cleared. And now it's once more time for Hinabu's favorite stage, LS4. For about an hour, Hinabu grinded LMD, XP chips, skill summaries and all kinds of stuff to make his squad ready for chapter 5. 5.1 is the stage that ended my run, when I did my 24-hour stream in Arknights how far I can go, and Hinabu managed to reach this in 12 hours and 20 minutes. 5.2 didn't pose any challenge to him, but the commonly known hard stage 5.3 did. After one failed attempt, he chose that the best thing is that he can do is level his operator just a little bit more. And for that, he beat and cleared CE5 and grinded on the stage. And after those minor upgrades, it was enough to beat 5.3. He managed to clear every stage on the first try until 5.7. This stage was the hardest for him yet. He never failed a stage as many times as this one. After a heartbreaking try where he almost cleared it, he was able to pull off an insanely clean run without any mistakes. And that way the annoying 5.7 stage has been cleared. With 5.3 and 5.7 out of the way, the hardest stages in Chapter 5 have been cleared. And now only Mephisto and Faust remain. And oh boy was this a fight. Hinabu had many extremely close calls. For example here with one league, Faust barely having any HP, just went out of the range of Amiya. He decided to not continue this run, even though I believe it would have been possible to beat it. After this close call, another 2 attempts and they finally managed to get this run. With Mephisto and Faust beaten, it's now time to go back to the legendary stage of CE5. This is now a good time to explain you guys how Hinabu is able to farm through the entire day without having to spend any money. Usually when you do a run like this, you will get a lot of irregular primes, and you don't use the primes for pulls. You solely use them to do sanity refreshes. And this way you shouldn't run out of sanity, and if you do, you just go back to old stages and clear the challenge mode of them. And this way you will always have enough for Igna Prime. Another thing to do is beating Annihilation. If you get to 400 kills, you get a lot of materials that are really helpful, that boost your progress immense. But getting 400 kills in Annihilation 2 with an account that is barely 15 hours old is certainly no easy task, but for Hinabu it was. He was actually able to beat it in his very first try, all 400 kills. After collecting the juicy materials that he got from beating Annihilation 2, he was ready to take on Chapter 6. This chapter has exactly 3 really difficult stages, 6.5, 6.11 and the last stage with Frostnova 6.16. Hinabu managed to beat the first stages before 6.5 without any leaks nor fails. On 6.5 though, he made a small mistake, and it lost him 1 try, but he was able to beat it on the second. Once again, no fails until 6.11, but this stage is known for being extremely hard and annoying. And so it was for him. He failed many times on 6.11. Some attempts were close, while some were maybe not so much. But to be honest, it's understandable. I personally believe 6.11 is one of the hardest stages throughout the entire story. I heard of many players that also got stuck there. Playing on a 16 hours old account doesn't make it easier. Hinabu started his run with Myrtle and Cruz. This way he was able to kill 1 spider to place down Fang. Next up was Midnight. He is the perfect unit to support Fang, but also able to hold the lane by himself. While this is happening, he's using 12F to get rid of the remaining spiders. With the help of Melantha and some healers, she was able to take down 1 caster, and now only 1 was left. But 1 caster alone doesn't deal enough damage to kill 1 unit. And now with that, he is set to place everything he needs to beat the stage. Fang and Midnight got taken out for Beagle and Spot. And now there's only 1 threat remaining, and that's the drone. Well, to be honest, leaking the drone seemed like the better idea. He is not planning to farm the stage, and taking it down with that squad seems like a max risk challenge. But with that done, he managed to clear the stage and is 1 step closer to the Snow Bunny stage. As you may have guessed, the stages to get to Frosty weren't really that difficult. He did have 1 or 2 fails and 1 or 2 leaks, but the only reason why you want to 3-star a stage is to get a Ring of Prime. Since half of his squad has reached max level, he doesn't have to farm that much anymore. Most 3 stars are max level, some 4 stars are still EU0, but that's because they don't need to be higher. The only thing left to upgrade are skill levels. After beating the appetizers, it was time for the main meal, Yelena, the one and only. And yes, Hinabu was prepared for her. Even though he failed his run due to badly timed gravel, on his second run he chose to bring Merle instead. With Merle, he was able to get enough DP to place Noir Corner and Hibiscus in time. And his plan was to stall the beautiful girl as long as possible. And luckily RNG was kind to him. While he was stalling her, he was trying to kill every enemy on the field before she even got a chance to kill him. And he was very successful with it. She was the only one left on the field now. And there is one last mission to carry out. And that is to kill Frost Nova. He certainly had the chance to do that, but he chose to not to. He did not only beat the stage, he also gave my NPC waifu the greatest present he could have given her. Alive. The stage was beaten, and she was free. That is a true victory. And now it's time to move on to chapter 7. This one is for sure an interesting chapter. The stages are rather hard if you don't brute force them, unless you have a really good strategy. Going blind into them with that kind of squad would certainly take hours upon hours. But since Hinabu was prepared, it didn't. Many of the normal stages were not a problem, but 7.4 was. I myself remember it as one of the hardest stages of chapter 7, even though it's not even marked as a red stage. Figuring out the start is usually the main difficulty of this stage, which did make him lose one round. Another attempt he lost was very close to the end. Chitana was stunned and 12F wasn't dealing enough damage. Sadly 2 enemies leaked through there, and that was exactly enough for him to fail the stage. In the very next attempt he used the exact same strategy, but this time he was able to kill the 3rd block enemy just in time. It was very damn close, but he luckily managed to do it. And thanks to that, 7.4 was cleared. The road to 7.18 was open again. There were some minor stepping stones, like 7.5 and 7.9, which he both failed once. Which is still really impressive considering what his team looked like. The next commonly known hurdle is 7.16. This is the stage with the heavy defender dudes. This stage gave even my max level no gacha account some trouble. But with the right strat and the godlike gameplay, he was able to even clear that stage with his squad. And now with that beaten, it was time to reunite Patriot with his daughter. Patriot is the main problem on this stage, so he dealt with the problem the way I handle my problems, ignoring them. If leaks are allowed, there is no point in trying to kill him. This is so far the only stage I think he benefits from the rules that he is allowed to leak instead of bringing friend support. With mines and a meta unit from friend support, I am very sure it would have been possible to beat him. But this just saved him a lot of hassle. The rest of the stage wasn't really a problem without Patriot in it. And with that, he wasn't united with his daughter, but the stage was beaten. And now it is time for the last part of this insane journey. And that, my friends, is chapter 8. But this chapter is on a whole nother level. There are many maps which are just brutal. And not just that, in this chapter you have to protect civilians. And we all hate them, right? First was R81, a normal stage with nothing special to it, a first try without any leaks from Hinabu. R82 was next, and this was the first stage with civilians. But again, first try, no leaks. R83, R84 and R85, all of them, first try, no leaks. And then R86 came, and this was the first time he failed in this chapter. Second try though, clear without any leaks. R87, another fail, but again on the second try, a clear without any leaks. R88 was up next, a stage that took me many attempts on my no gacha account. First attempt, fail. Second attempt, fail. Third attempt, fail. The reason why the stage was being so damn hard, he did not only had to protect Tallulah, which is insanely hard enough by itself, he also had to take care of the big drones, which is certainly not easy with that squad. On the 4th attempt, it looked absolutely amazing. He even managed to get Tallulah into the blue box. But sadly, the last drone, with a third of its HP, it managed to leak through, and it was the first leak that he had on a stage in Chapter 8. M86 was up next, and we were back to first try with no leaks. R89 was once again a very difficult stage. 3 fails, 2 of them very close to the end. But on the 4th try, he managed to execute his strategy and cleared the stage. But for this one, with leaks. R810, first try, no leaks. M87, first try, 1 leak. R811, first try, but he had to let Tallulah die to clear it. And with that, it was time for M88, the Mephisto stage. This stage is special though. Mephisto itself is not the only problem on this stage. Just leaking him doesn't give you an automatic win. There are Sarkha Centurions and enraged possessed soldiers that can easily wipe your team even if it's over-leveled. Hinabu starts off the battle with a clean Sicilian defense. On this stage, already the first 22 enemies are crazy strong, and just surviving them is hard enough. But somehow Hinabu managed to pull it off. Since dealing with Mephisto is equal to suicide, he doesn't give 2 thoughts about it to let him leak. With him out of the way, it's time to deal with the Sarkha Centurions. For that, he uses Catapult to get rid of the first one. As soon as the first is gone, he can place down Midnight. While Catapult is attacking the 2 Centurions below, Midnight is able to take down the last one. Not long after the Centurions are dead, a shower of enemies trying to run them over. This part is extremely hard to survive without any good healers or tanks. After Beagle died, he had to rely on 100% on Cardigan. And even though there were some close calls, she somehow managed to survive. Now, only 1 wave was left. He chose to switch out Cardigan for Beagle, which ended up being the right call. Thanks to her skills, she managed to survive them. Even though there were some close calls in it, she didn't die. And now with that, only 1 enemy is left. And M88 was beaten. And this after 20 hours, 22 minutes and 47 seconds. If you watch closely on the top right, this is the last timestamp in this run. This is because Chapter 9 wasn't out when this run was performed. And since Amiya needs to be E2 to make progress from here on, it was for him the last to beat. Making Amiya E2 is something that would take another few hours to do. And he himself said, as soon as a fast way of E2ing her is discovered, he will erase this category and start doing attempts at a JT3 run. But until that is discovered, we have to wait for a little bit. And this was the story of a man that has beaten Arknights in 1 day. Kinda. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Making documentaries is super fun, but it takes so much time. And because it was my second documentary I ever made, it was a little bit rough around the edges. But I really hope you had a great time watching it. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot. And please don't forget to check out Hinabu's channel. He's an amazing content creator. His runs are absolutely incredible to watch. And I feel like he deserves way more attention than he gets. And once again, thanks you so much for letting me use your footage. Hontou ni arigatou gozaimasu. And with that said, guys, I wish you all a nice morning, a nice evening, and bye bye, Smesai, have a good one, and see ya.